Well, the coronavirus pandemic has now made its way all the way to Buckingham Palace, feeling the effects there because the Queen and Prince Philip have fled their London home.
For more, we are joined by royal reporter Neil Shawn in London. Now, Neil, good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us. Where has the monarch fled to?
Morning, Brooke. Morning, Tom. Yes, well, they've not really fled. You know, they have a few homes, but let me explain. Over here, the government have decided that the over 70s have to self-isolate. So, you know, we're in the over 90s brigade now with Her Majesty the Queen and, of course, the Duke of Edinburgh, who's 98 this year. What they've decided to do, and the Queen apparently was very reluctant to do this, they've now moved out to Windsor. If the situation gets worse, they then may move even further to Sandringham, which, of course, is where they normally go, you know, Christmas time in Norfolk. But it's just basically precautions. What a lot of people don't know, and we can tell you first here on the show, is it's very interesting, actually. All the staff will be tested because, obviously, if they come into contact with Her Majesty, you know, his private secretaries and, of course, people that work for her, but also our British Prime Minister, who normally has a weekly audience with her, for the very first time, they may even decide to go digital rather than him turning up to Windsor. So, or he will have to be tested every time he goes in. So it's very risky times, you know. It's, I mean, obviously, you know, she's a very stoic lady. We saw her last week at the Commonwealth Day, and, you know, she's out and about mixing with people. But, you know, obviously precautions and their ages, it's vital.
Well, you mentioned the fact that it is a bit risky for them at the moment. You have to think for Prince Philip in particular. I mean, his health has been quite problematic for some years now. Is it likely you'd expect they're going to be laying low at Windsor or at Sandringham for months now?
Well, I mean, this is where it gets really tricky, Tom, because, you know, the Queen herself, you know, had a lot of you know, engagements planned, you know, to this week that are obviously being cancelled. I mean, it's a difficult thing because, you know, for her, you know, she's carried on. It's, you know, she's got through two, you know, big sort of wars, if you like, and, you know, she's seen everything, gone through everything. But this is unprecedented times in a way. And, of course, you know, the connection with the monarchy is the fact that there are big crowds every time they turn up, and then she does walkabouts. Oh, no, she wears gloves and all that sort of stuff. But if you do remember, a couple of weeks ago, she was still not wearing gloves when she was meeting people. So a very hardy lady is what I would describe Her Majesty as.
She keeps calm and carries on, doesn't she? She's such a legend. Now, she's been forced to cancel engagements, as you mentioned. What royal events are at risk? Which royal events, rather?
Well, you know, Brooke, all of them. That's the thing, you know. I mean, but the things that really will be quite upsetting for certain people are, you know, if you are lucky enough to be invited to a Buckingham Palace garden party, you've told all your friends, right? You know, hey, look, I've got the invite, you know, and then suddenly they're all going to be cancelled. And, of course, Trooping of the Colour, because all these events, as I rightly just said, you know, attract huge crowds, and we're not allowed to have those crowds. Now, again, it's going to be interesting because, you know, for Her Majesty the Queen and for lots of royal fans, you know, it's the things they look forward to. Obviously, they've got to look after their health, but it really is sort of like changing the landscape of life, if you like, the fact that they're all going to disappear. So there's no time as yet. I mean, even big events over here, we're being told now, Wimbledon, you know, in June and stuff, all that could go. So it's going to be a strange, eerie sort of time we're all going through. And, you know, what can we do but battle down and carry on?
All of a sudden, Prince Harry and Meghan laying low on Vancouver Island looks like a very smart decision. Speaking of Harry, though, Invictus Games, they were supposed to be happening in May. Surely that can't go ahead now.
Well, again, Tom, yeah, absolutely right. I mean, this was a big event in the Netherlands, and it was their kind of big comeback. You know, this is the thing that I mean, Harry truly loves this part of his life, you know. And so, again, you know, what can he do? It's beyond his control because, you know, he won't possibly now go ahead. I mean, we'd all like to think this thing could be cleared up quickly, but I think, particularly for the royals, you know, it's an interconnecting world. We want to see them because they give us calm, if you like, whichever way you look at it. Everybody looks towards the Queen. She's so stoic, and, you know, you think, oh, well, she's all right, we can cope. If we don't see her, I think, you know, it's going to be kind of tricky. And the same, again, you know, with Harry and Meghan. They've disappeared, and perhaps somebody like Her Majesty the Queen at 94 would have preferred to keep all of her family around her.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neil, for all of that valuable
A pleasure.
information.